I am Anil Kumar. Let me thank all the viewers and subscribers for posting their request to solve IGCSE test papers. So here's the very first one for you. So I've taken up paper of 2015 May-June is paper 2 extended, where the time allocated is 1 hour 30 minutes. There are 16 questions to go through. We'll see how to solve them one by one. I have modified some of these questions and rewritten just for sake of saving space. That is all, right? Okay, the very first question here is, at noon the temperature was 4 degrees centigrade. At midnight the temperature was minus 5.5 degrees centigrade. Find the difference in temperature between noon and midnight. So what you see here is that the temperature drops from 4 degrees centigrade to minus 5.5 degrees centigrade. So what is the difference? So the difference is 4 minus 5.5 minus of minus, right? So I should write minus of minus since it is negative. So it becomes 4 plus 5.5, and so we could write this as 9.5 degrees centigrade, right? So that becomes the answer. The second question here is, use your calculator to work out square root of 10 plus 0.6 times 8.3 whole square plus 5, and that is within the square root. So we are going to apply the order of operations starting with inside brackets and then moving outwards, correct? And solve it, right? So the number here is, to begin with, 8.3 whole square. So write 8.3 whole square, that is the first number. And to this we are going to add 5 plus 5, correct? So we get some fraction here. We'll multiply that by 0.6 times 0.6 equal to, then we are going to add 10, and then we'll do square root of our answer to get the answer, which is equal to 7.37116. Now in general, we are not given any roundabout places. We'll just round to 2 decimal places. So we'll say 7.37. Question number 3 is, 270,000, write 270,000 in standard form, that is scientific notation. So here we have to write a number which should be between less than 10, you can say, right? So basically we just put a decimal here. So we'll write this as 2.7 into 10 to the power of what? Now the decimal has been placed. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 5. So it should be 10 to the power of 5, correct? So that gives you the answer. So I hope it's absolutely clear. Now let's move on and take question number 4. Expand and simplify. So let's expand. So x, that is the distributive property, which is going to be applied here, plus 5 times x minus 7. So first you multiply by x, you get 2x squared plus 3x, and then with 5 the other terms, which is 5x minus 35. Now we need to combine the like terms. We get 2x squared, 5 plus 3 is 8x minus 35. So that is what we get, right? The last fifth question here is, Paul and Sammy take part in a race. The probability that Paul wins the race is 9 over 35. The probability that Sammy wins the race is 26%. Who is more likely to win the race, right? So probability for Paul is given to us as 9 over 35, right? So let's convert this to percent, right? So let's do it. So we have, in percent, I could write this as 9 over 35 times 100. So let's do it. So 9 divided by 35 times 100 is equal to, in decimals, 25.7. So this is 25.71. On the other hand, probability for Sammy is given to us as 26%. Clearly, 26% is more than 25.71%. So who is likely to win the race? So it is Sammy, right? So Sammy is likely to win, right? Since the probability is higher, maybe very small percentage. Question number 6 here is, rice is sold in 75-gram packs and 120-gram packs. The masses of both packs are given correct to nearest gram, 75 and 120. Calculate the lower bound for the difference in mass between the two packs. So when we write 75, what does it mean? And when we write 120, what does it mean? Especially when we are saying that the masses are given correct to nearest gram, right? So that really means that it has a lower and the upper bound. The lower bound being 0.5 less, 74.5, the upper bound being 75.5, correct? In this case, it is going to be 119.5 and 120.5. Now, when we are looking for the lower bound for differences, right? So we are looking for lower bound for differences. So A minus B types, correct? Minimum we are going to get if we involve these two numbers, correct? So that should give us the answer. So what are we going to do? We will do 119.5 take away 75.5, correct? That gives us 4 and 44 as our answer, correct? So 44 becomes the answer difference between the two packs. Now let's get to question number 7, which is simplify 6uw minus q times 4u. Let's rewrite 6uw minus 3 times 4uw to the power of 6. So multiply numbers with numbers, we get 6 times 4 as 24. U squared, right, just combine, and w to the power of minus 3 plus 6, or we can write 6 minus 3. So let's rewrite this as 24 u square w cube, correct? So that becomes your solution, correct? Let's move on and take the next question. Question 8. The point A has coordinates minus 4, 6, and the point B has coordinates 4, minus 2. Calculate the length of the line segment AB. Well, direct formula application, right? Think this is like x1, y1, and this as x2, y2, correct? So the distance AB, right, will always take the absolute distance between the 2 points, will be square root of x2 minus x1, so which is 7 minus 4 whole square, plus y2 minus y1, which is minus 2 minus 6 whole square, square root, correct? So that gives you 7 plus 4, which is 11 square, and this is plus 8 square, right, minus 8 square. So we can use the calculator and find the answer. So 121 plus 64 square root, right? So we will write this as 11 square plus 8 square equals to 185 square root, and we'll do square root of our answer, which is equal to, in decimals, 13.6. So 13.6 units will be the distance, right? Question number 9 here is, use without calculator, work out 1/4/5 divided by 3/4. So first part is to convert this mixed number into improper fraction, right? So we have 1/4/5 divided by 3/7, right? So I could write this as 1 times 5 plus 4, which is 9/5 divided by 3/7, which is 9/5 times 7/3, right? Now this could be simplified. We could cancel 3 times is 9, And now we can write down our answer as 21 over 5. Is it okay? And 21 half by 5, you could also write in decimals if you want to. So that goes 4 times, and 10, 4 times 4.2. Correct? So that's what you get. 4.2 is your answer. Now we have already done half of the test paper. Now they're slightly difficult questions, and these are like 4 marks each. Question number 10. A tram leaves a station and accelerates for 2 minutes until it reaches a speed of 12 meters per second. It continues at this speed for 1 minute. It then decreases for 3 minutes until it stops at the next station. The diagram shows the speed time graph for the journey. Calculate the distance in meters between the 2 stations. So let me sketch the diagram now. I didn't really copy it. Okay, so it's easier to sketch these diagrams rather than making them on computer. So I'll label it soon. Okay. So what we have here is we have speed or velocity, and it is given in meters per second, as you could see, right? We are talking about time in minutes. Do you see that? We are talking about time in minutes here. And what are we saying? It accelerates to 12 meters per second. So this is 12 meters per second, the velocity maximum reached. And it accelerates within 2 minutes and stays there for 3 minutes, and then come down 3 minutes takes to stop, right? So it comes down when the time is 6 minutes. So that is the graph for you, which is velocity versus time graph. Now what do you need to calculate? You need to calculate the distance in meters, right? Distance in meters you need to calculate, correct? So what we should do here is, since we have velocity in meters per second, time in minutes, it is a good idea to write this time also in seconds, right? So in seconds, I could write this as 0. So we have to times by 60, right? So 120, 180, and 60 times 6 is 360. Is it okay? So basically, that is what we get. Now, what is the distance? So distance basically is area under the graph velocity or speed versus time, right? That is what distance is. So basically we need to find the area under this curve, right? So we need to find this area. So it's a trapezoid. We have 2 parallel sides. So we could use the formula for area as half of, it is a trapezoid, right? So half of sum of these 2 sides. Now, sum of these 2 sides in seconds, this will be 180 minus 120, which is 60, right? So it is 60 plus, this side is 360 times 12, correct? So that is how you could use the formula. So what we have done here, we have used area under trapezoid, right? Which is half A plus B times height, right? So A and B are these 2 sides, which are parallel sides. Height is the distance between them. So that's what you get. So you can divide 12 by 2. You get 6 times and add these 2. So you get 0, 6, 6 is 12, 420 times 6, which is 0. 6 times 2, 12, 2, 1, 25, right? So you get 2520 meters as the answer. Perfect. I hope that makes sense, right? So important key thing here is to convert time, right, into seconds. That is very important. Okay, let's take question number 11 now. So it is based on sequences and series. Find the nth term of each sequence. Two sequences are given to us, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. As you can see, it is going up by 4, right? So you could treat this as arithmetic progression. You could do that. So 4 times 1, 4 times 2, 4 times 3. So find the nth terms. So we can say Tn is 4n. Do you see that? So that is so simple. The second one here is a bit complicated. We have 11, 20, 35, 56, 83. How do we work with this? Well, if we see the first difference, then what do we get? 20 minus 11 is 9, and 35 minus this is 15. 56 minus 35 is what? 1, and then 21. So what do we notice? We notice that they are rising, and hopefully they have a constant term. Anyway, let's see this also. So this difference here is 13 minus 6 is 7, and then 7 minus this is 27. So now let's find the second difference. Second difference, 15 minus 9 is 6, 21 minus 15 is 6, and 6. So we have constant second finite difference. That means what? That means we are expecting a quadratic expression. Now, if the second finite difference is constant, then the value of a will be what? I mean, we have to write in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, right? So that is what we are expecting. Now we can find the value of a from the finite difference. So the formula here is that the finite difference, whatever you get, divided by n factorial. In this case, second finite difference is constant, so which is 6. So we get 6 over 2. So the value of a is 3. Okay? So we get the value of a. So we know the first term. We go write this as 3n squared. Now from here we can develop our formula. If I write n as 1, let's work it like this. So we have 3n squared, right? So let's say we have 3n squared. If n is 1, so I get what? I get 3 times 1. But I need 11. So I have to add some number to this to get 11, which is definitely 8, right? To get 11. So we get 8 as the constant. You get the idea, right? So you could think like this. 3n squared plus k is our formula. You need to find k. So test it out. So if n equals to 1, then we get 3 times 1 squared plus k equals to 11. That implies that k should be equals to 11 minus 3, which is 8, right? So that is how you could get your formula. So this nth term in this particular case should be, let's write it here. So the nth term is Tn equals to 3n squared plus 8, right? So what you could do is, now you can test for 2. So if I write 3 times 2 squared plus 8, what do I get? 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 8 is 20, right? So that is how we confirm that this is absolutely correct. Now, important thing which you have learned here is that the constant, the leading coefficient could be found by this formula, right? That helps. Otherwise, you have to do trial and error, or you could use 3 points and get the answer. Okay, let's move on and take the next question. The question here is question 12. P is inversely proportional to square of this. So that means P is inversely means 1 over. Square of this means Q plus 4 whole square. That is what the first statement is. Now, whenever we say inversely, we'll say it will be equal to some constant times Q plus 4 whole square. Now the question is to find the constant. For that, we are given a value of P as 2 and Q as 2. Let's substitute. So we have 2 equals to K over 2 plus 4 whole square. Right? So that gives you, let me do it on the right side. So we get 2 equals to K over 2 plus 4 is 6 square. Right? So that implies K is equals to 6 square times 2. 36 times 2, which is 72, right? So K is 72 for us. Now we know how they are related. So P is equal to 72 over Q plus 4 whole square. Now the next part of this is to find the value of P when Q is minus 2. So let's substitute minus 2 here. So P equals to 72 over minus 2 plus 4 whole square, which is 72 over 2 square, which is 4, right? So which is 72 over 4. So 4 times 1 is 4, 32 is 8, so 18 is your answer. So value of P is equals to 18. That is the answer, correct? So let's move on and take the next question, which is question number 13. Here is question number 13. A car travels a distance of 1280 meters at an average speed of 64 kilometers per hour. Calculate the time it takes for the car to travel this distance. Give the answer in seconds. Okay, so we are given the distance D as 1280 meters, 1280 meters, not kilometers. And the speed, let's say velocity, is 64 kilometers per hour. We need to find time, that is it. We know all of them are related with this triangles, easy to remember, which is distance, velocity and time. Distance, velocity and time. Since we need to find time, so time is distance over velocity, right? So that is how we could actually do it. Now the key here is to convert velocity into meters per second, since we want the answer in seconds, right? So we need to convert velocity to meters per second. Let us see how to do that. So we are given velocity as 64. The units are kilometers per hour. Now, in 1 hour, how many seconds are there? So in 1 hour, we have 60 times 60 seconds, correct? Now, as far as kilometer, we need to cancel. So in 1 kilometer, we have 1000 meters. So that helps us to simplify. Perfect. So just making simpler calculations here, just cancelling out these two, right? So I'm not really bothered about simplifying it further. I'll write 640 divided by 36. I know it can be simplified, but I'm not doing it, right? Meters per second. Is that clear? Why do we get meters per second? Hours and hours cancel and kilometers and kilometer cancel. So we are left with this meters and that seconds. Perfect. But what is important here to understand that we got the same units, right? So now the time is distance over velocity. So distance is 1280 meters, 1280 meters. And the velocity is 640, it's in the denominator. So let's say 640 meters over 36 meters per second, correct? So that should give us the answer. So let's calculate. So we'll just do 1280 times 36 divided by 640. 72 seconds, correct? So our answer here is time taken will be 72 seconds, right? Next question, question number 14. PQRS is a quadrilateral and M is the midpoint. So let me just write M here, PQ. I hope this was R and S. Okay, it makes sense. So PQRS is a quadrilateral, M is the midpoint. That means these two sides are equal. Okay, of PS. PQ is vector A and QR is vector B. You are given SQ, S to Q, this arrow, is A minus 2B. So first thing is to show that PS equals to 2B. That is the first part. So let's do part A. So we need to find what PS is. So vectors just add, right? So we know PS plus SQ should be equal to PQ, right? Should be equal to PQ. Now we need to find what PS is, so we'll just rearrange. So PS is equal to PQ minus SQ, correct? So P to Q is vector A minus S to Q is given to us as vector A minus 2B, right? So when you open the bracket, you get A minus A, which is 0 vector, and then we get plus 2B, right? So that means we are left with 2B. So PS is 2B. So it's a scalar multiple of B. What does that indicate? So we got the first part, which is PS is 2B. Write down the mathematical name for the quadrilateral PQ, PQRM, right? So this one, right? Okay. So we found that this is 2B. That means these two sides are parallel, correct? Now since M is the midpoint, we have this also B and this also B. Do you see that? Because the total is 2B from here to here, right? So half is B. Since we have opposite sides exactly same, right? So therefore, we can conclude that's a parallelogram. So it is does make sense to you, right? So that is why it is a parallelogram, correct? So we have these two parallel sides and they are equal also, right? So opposite sides being parallel and equal. So that will conclude that this is also parallel to A, right? So this will also be vector A, right? So this becomes a parallelogram. Okay. Question number 15. Write down the three inequalities which define the shaded region. So I didn't shade it. Let me shade it now. So this is the shaded region. Dotted line means it is not included. Perfect. So, okay. So we have three lines here. One solid, second solid, and a dotted line. Now we need to write three inequalities which define the shaded region. So let's do it one by one. This is a horizontal line through 8, right? It's horizontal. The equation is y equals to 8. Now let's call, so I'm calling this as line 1, right? Now let's say this is line 2 and this is line 3 for us. Line 2 has a y-intercept at 2 and let's find the slope. So for line 2, we have y-intercept of 2. So basically, we have b equals to 2. We'll write equation as y equals to mx plus b, okay? So the y-intercept is 2 and slope m is equal to 2 over 2, right, which is 1. And therefore, the equation is x plus 2. Now let's look into the line 3. So line 3, y-intercept is 6 for us. And the slope here is, see these two x and y-intercepts are 6 and slope m is minus 1. So the equation is y equals to minus x plus 6. Correct? So we get all our equations. Now we need to write the inequality. Let's write it down. So it is less than the first line. So first inequality we'll write as y is less than 8. So we come below this. Now it is above these two lines on the right side. You can very easily see. So we have y is greater than equal to x plus 2, right? And also y is greater than equal to minus x plus 6. So that becomes the description of inequality. So above this, above that, and below the horizontal line gives you the equation, right? Solid lines means you have to include, dotted lines not to be included, and that's the reason why we have y less than 8. Perfect? Okay, so that leaves us with the last question. Question number 16. Josh invests principal amount here is $5,000 for 14 years. So the time duration is 14 years at a rate R as 2%, which is written as 2 over 100, which is 0.02. Calculate the interest received. Okay, year compounded interest. So 2% per year compounded interest. So when we have said just compound interest, that means per annum, right? So compounded annually. Okay. Now, the formula for compound interest is that the amount is equal to the principal amount 1 plus r to the power of t, right? So in our case, compounding is being done yearly. So t is 14 for us, right? So we'll do 5,000 times 1 plus, we have 0.02 as our rate of interest, time is 14. So we'll just use calculator to calculate this value. So we have 1.02 to the power of 14, and we are going to multiply this with 5,000. That gives us 6597 let's say 4, right? So that is the amount. Calculate interest, round to dollars. So we'll just round to 6597. That is the amount received after 14 years. So what is interest? Interest is difference between A and what you invested, right? So it is 6597 minus 5,000. So which is clearly equal to $1,597. So our answer here is interest equals to $1,597. So that is how you're going to solve this test paper. So I hope you find it interesting and useful. The idea is that concepts are clear to you. If you feel like, you can go back again and check with your text so that the concepts are absolutely clear before you take the question. I hope this helps. Feel free to write your comment, share your views, and if you like and subscribe to my videos, that'd be great. Thanks for watching and all the best.